I wanted to see how this would play out. It's very controversial, and it's honestly sad news no matter how you spin it. Something seems wrong. Something seems out of place, and I have a bad feeling that this is only going to get worse. I'm not conspiring, but just it doesn't look right. Let's get into it. Welcome to Touching Bases Podcast. If you're new here, please stay for the whole video and consider subscribing. I'd like to earn your subscription and your like rather than just ask for it. If you've been here before and you're checking another video out and you haven't subscribed, that's mean. Come on, just click the button. It's easy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Here we're talking about mostly all of the MLB, but I have a strong emphasis on the Mariners. If you guys can see right behind me, it's probably very obvious. But today we're talking about the Dodgers, specifically one player, two people, one player that needs another person to make... Today, and honestly, the last 3 days have been a roller coaster in the MLB. You had the opening day in Korea. There were bomb threats against Shohei, who actually we're talking about today. That came out to be nothing, luckily. And then the Padres winning 15-11 to split the series in Korea. Crazy game, just insane offense, and Yamamoto struggling on the mound for his opening day. And now there's conclusions coming around to, I guess, the answer to why Ohtani's interpreter Ippei has been fired, and he has been fired indefinitely. Let's be quick and let's break this down because I don't have a lot of time. I have to go to a kid's concert today. The FBI has been investigating an illegal bookie in California betting on international soccer games mostly, and also other sports, Matthew Boyer. They've been investigating him recently, in at least the last couple years, and it is now just leaked that $4.5 million has been traced back to an account that was sent to an associate of Boyer in 2021, and that account was affiliated to Shohei Ohtani himself, not Ippei, to Shohei. His personal bank account had $4.5 million sent to an associate that has to do with Boyer. Now, Boyer, obviously a bookie doing illegal bets on sports. In California, it is straight out, flat out illegal. Ippei reportedly worked directly with Boyer, but nothing confirms that Shohei had contact with him. So supposedly Shohei had nothing to do with this. At least that's going in Shohei's realm, but Ippei has definitely had his contact with Boyer, and he owed a lot of money, in basically in the amount of $4.5 million. Now, initially Shohei's spokesperson said that Shohei was helping Ippei out and covered the gambling debt. These guys are like incredible friends, so that sounds right. And I mean, being Shohei, it sounds like the most selfless thing, the normal Shohei Ohtani kind of thing. And just helping out a good friend of his. He's very selfless. He's just always happy. He's just a good human being. That's just the way it is. Shortly after this, though, they brought up the fact that if Shohei actually did pay the debt for him, it is still conspiring in a crime. That means that Shohei could or will maybe possibly face criminal charges for playing in an act of a gambling crime within California and possibly federally, just because of how much it is. Shortly after this, there's a spokesperson or attorney for the Dodgers or Shohei. They retracted this statement saying that Shohei paid for his gambling debts and said that he had no idea about this, but it's hard to take back a statement like that when it seems very realistic and makes sense on the surface, honestly, to everybody that I've been talking to and watching online. From what I can see, that makes sense from Shohei to help a buddy out. But of course, now that the lawyers stepped in, they said, no. There's nothing that's showing that Shohei had any knowledge of this, and that somehow Ippei probably stole the money from Shohei's account in order to pay this debt. Now, here's my problem with this. Yes, he's making $700 million in a contract, but he also deferred all of that money until after he plays in the MLB. So the next 10 years, he is basically getting paid $2 million a year, and he's been paid league minimum when he played for the Angels. So even at the most amount of money he has taken so far, $4.5 million is literally more than 2 years of his salary for 2024 and 2025. He's not just going to not know about that money missing. I understand he gets a lot of money from endorsements and advertisements, but it's also Shohei. Even if he's not looking at his accounts, his accountants are looking at his accounts. His lawyers are looking at his accounts. They're trying to protect him. His agent is looking at his accounts. They're going to notice when $4.5 million is missing, right? And this happened in 2021, and somehow we have no idea about it until now when it gets leaked. States. Another interview was conducted by ESPN. Ippei said that Shohei had no idea about this and that he got the money from Shohei's account. He didn't exactly strictly say that he stole the funds, but he said that Shohei had no idea about it. Now, if Shohei really had no idea about it, how did the money leave his account? Does Ippei really have access to his bank account to spend money whenever he wants to transfer funds like that? And would really nobody notice until now? Even in the beginning of the second game, they were seen talking and laughing and having a good time. If someone stole $4.5 million from me, I'd be kind of a little pissed off, especially when I'm confused about it. Now, later reports said that he came out clean and said that he took the money and all that stuff after the game, and Shohei apparently was very confused and had no idea about this, but I'm still not sure who's reporting that detail exactly, because I still struggle to understand how $4.5 million is just not noticed to be gone. But to Ippei's credit, he claims full responsibility. He says it's his debt. He said that it was his problem, that he did it illegally, and so he will face the consequences in that, as the FBI is still investigating this, and they continue to investigate this, considering the fact that Shohei was the one who paid that associate for that debt, and it does equal the debt that Ippei owed. So is that a clear-cut case? Absolutely not, because even if Ippei supposedly stole that money, I know they were close. Ippei's story originally and the spokesperson for Shohei was probably telling the truth the first time, but they are not going to go and throw Shohei underneath the bus to where the most expensive player in all of sports and probably the most incredible player in baseball history since Babe Ruth, being a multi-MVP in his first few years, are they going to let him to go get ran over by feds who probably don't care about the sport as much as you and I do, and they're going to hem him up for criminal charges playing a part in illegal gambling, especially in a state where it is completely illegal to do so, and especially at an amount of $4.5 million. That is a big deal. So what would everybody do if they're attorneys? Ignorance. Claim ignorance. No, Shohei did not know about this. This had to be stolen from him. At that point, it becomes another federal crime against Ippei, which sucks even more for this guy. He dug himself a hole, clearly sucks at gambling, because if you're down 4.5 million, you're doing something, and I guarantee you he did not have that money to begin with. That's the reason why it's illegal in California from these bookies. They give it to you on credit and then you have to pay after. It's a very dangerous thing to do, but that's what he was doing. He never had the money, clearly. But if there's some reason they're able to track this back to Shohei, and Shohei does at some point admit that he does know, which the spokesperson already kind of implemented that he knew about this and he was trying to help him out, being the nice guy that he is, this could rain down hell for him, and that could mean a huge detrimental loss to the MLB game as it is. I am not a Dodgers fan by any means, and if you are a Dodgers fan, I'm actually feeling it with you, because I am a Shohei fan. This is not over with. This is not an investigation that's going to end today, tomorrow, in a week, or a year. It's already been going on since 2020, I believe, and 2021 is when they found this information. It is now leaking in 2024, and the worst thing that could happen is that Shohei actually gets jail time for this, or a massive fine that I obviously think he can afford if he was able to get his full contract, but he deferred it till I think 2034. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out. But at this point, I think the Dodgers and of course Shohei's attorney are trying to protect him. And at this point, they took action saying that Ippei was the one who stole the money from his account, and then they are trying to carry on with their lives because Shohei has the most to lose. They threw the lower guy under the bus and he's gone. I don't know how Shohei's acting or feeling about this. There's been no interviews on his opinion on it. At the same time, I guess he doesn't have an interpreter right now to even tell us. So the sad part is that Shohei's closest friend, probably his best friend in the United States, had a bad gambling problem, made a mistake, and his friend tried to help him out. And when he did that, his friend, a very popular, famous guy, helped him out of a very bad situation, and it costed Ippei his job, and it could possibly cost his career trying to do a good thing. That's the part that breaks my heart. Let me clarify also, there's been some rumors going around that, does this mean that there's an open door for Ohtani? If you guys remember his contract, anybody that works around him that's part of the organization, if they get let go, then Ohtani has an open door to leave, to get out of his contract and go anywhere he wants. Technically, Ippei is an employee of the Dodgers. He is not in part of the contract that keeps Ohtani there. I'm pretty sure the Dodgers would have thought about that immediately to try to find a way around this entire thing so they don't lose him. I think that's their main focus. He's not part of that contract, so they're able to let him go. They just want to clear the air on that part. So here's my question. Is this a cover-up? I don't want to get all conspiratorial on you guys, but I personally believe that the very first thing that was said was the truth, and that's that Shohei was trying to do a nice thing for a friend. It came out of his account. It went to an associate of the amount of what Ippei owed. Ippei knew Boyer, who's under criminal investigation by the FBI. It's just, there's too many things that make sense of it. Have Shohei not know he lost $4.5 million in his account is a little bit questionable, but I could believe that a man from Japan, where gambling is very common, it's legal, there's no issues there, could see no wrongdoing in helping a friend out with his gambling debts by giving him money and paying that off. I completely understand why that motion, that act, could be seen as harmless and more charitable than a crime. Unfortunately, that's not how this will go if FBI gets his hands on him, and that's what I'm worried about. ESPN later came back and interviewed Ippei a second time, and where he basically said, yes, I stole the money, I took it away from him. It was like a flat out like, blame me, don't go after Shohei. That's what it was. And I can imagine the Dodgers are like, hey, we will take care of you if you just take the hit. Completely understand that. It would make sense to me. Is it right? Absolutely not. But I'm honestly rooting for Shohei not to get in trouble over this, because of course his intentions were not bad. If you're a Dodgers fan, I'd be worried. As an Ohtani fan, I'm worried. I hope that there's nothing that comes of this, but guarantee that there's probably going to be something to be brought up mid-season. Will this be a distraction throughout the year? Absolutely. For Ohtani, there's no way he's going to be able to be 100% focused when he has federal authorities looming over his head. Not to mention, he's now no longer working with one of his closest friends. And on top of that, everybody's going to be questioning what his doings are, even though I don't think he's actually into illegal gambling by any means at all. Now, shout out to Robbie Hyde. He mentioned something. I watched it before this because I like to get people's opinion, but he did make a good point about Michael Jordan. He was kind of in the same boat, but it wasn't his interpreter or his agent that was doing illegal gambling. It was him being associated with people doing illegal gambling, but they were never able to loop him in. Being Michael Jordan, it's Michael Jordan. He never got hung up on anything, and they kind of slipped it under the table. Granted, this was the 90s and this is 2024. I don't know how prosecution and how things are going to go with someone who's probably equivalent, if not more popular than Michael Jordan. Tell us your thoughts down in the comments. I would love for you guys to give a like to the video if you did enjoy it and you're still here. Please subscribe. We'll talk about more in the news. It's not exactly an awesome, positive day, but, you know, I'm trying to get you guys the best breakdown I possibly can and be as accurate as I possibly can as well. Sorry for the bad news, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.